Welcome back, everybody, to Waterbox Live.
It's Wednesday.
Wednesday.
It's a great day. 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock today. We tricked you.
Tricked you. Yeah, so welcome on to the show. We're doing something a little bit different today.
Yeah.
We have a $100 gift card to give away.
Nice.
So you definitely don't want to miss out on that. And the currency, of course, is...
Yep. You got to make sure you guys interact with us. We want questions. We want you liking the stream, subscribing, all that good stuff.
Likes.
That is the currency.
Talk to each other. Yeah. Tell us what you're doing today. What water box do you have? You know, definitely drop your questions into the chat because we're going to be taking them actually throughout the whole show.
Yep.
So comments and questions, and not just one solid block of them. So we're going to be kind of mixed it up a little bit, which I think will be good. So put all your questions in there because we're talking protein skimmers today.
Yep. And we are live on Facebook and YouTube, just so you guys know. Fish Pony's got a question. It says, at this time slot, I can actually make it on time. You guys keep doing you, though. I will always watch no matter what. Awesome.
Ah, thank you. This was, used to be our time, was 1? Right?
For a while, yeah.
Yeah.
6 p.m. was probably the
6,
longest.
and then Thursdays were 1. Then we went to 12 on Wednesdays. So we'll
Roll
see.
the dice.
We'll see. You don't never know. That's why you have to be subscribed
and
hit the notifications because you don't know what we might do. You don't want to miss out on a show. And like I said, watching live, you get a chance at a $100 gift card. So
yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. So we're going to talk about protein skimmers today. Why they're important, what do they do, break-in period, adjusting, kind of the whole full circle about protein skimmers, because you know it's that time on the Infinia. So I'm going to show you that one, get that up and running, and everything as well.
Very, very good topic. And again, you guys, if you haven't already, hit that like button, helps us out a lot. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. We are here every single week, and we're dropping educational videos all the time.
Yes, yes, indeed.
I did want to bring something up that I thought was kind of funny. So. What is this? A week ago, we posted what is another name?
Trivia Tuesday.
Yeah, Trivia Tuesday. So what's another name for a protein skimmer? Maybe you guys know. You can post it in the comments. But we got some pretty funny answers.
Yes.
Some of them I had to bring this up because I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun reading through those comments.
Keenan didn't know where he was like, "What are you doing over there?" Poop frother, pooper scooper, poop pump, aqua toilet. And vial vacuum.
Vacuum.
But the number one most said comment, which I was not expecting, was ex-wife.
Ex-wife. So if you didn't see it, try and go back. It's on, I think, Facebook and Instagram, right? Have a scroll through those comments. There's a lot of really funny ones. Not all of them we can say on here. But it was actually a really good question. I think people had a lot of fun making up all the answers because it removes poop. That's what it does. It's gross.
What we were looking for when we posted that was foam fractionator. That's like the technical
term, yes.
But pooper scooper, okay.
There were a couple people that did guess the right one. I think the rest just had a really good time with it. The responses were great though.
Yeah.
So check that out whenever you can. But we're talking about foam refractinators, poop machines, whatever you want to call it today. With protein skimmers, I consider them a must for all medium to larger aquariums.
100%.
Saltwater only. They don't work on freshwater. So fish onlys, reef, any of that is good. What are they? They basically are mixing really fine microbubbles with all the waste products, so poop, detritus, organic waste that's in your water, bringing it up into the collection cup as a very stinky foam. And it's taking out nutrients in your water. So it helps a ton with keeping nitrates down, keeps phosphates down. You know, without them, you're going to have a lot more maintenance to do.
Yeah, for sure. A lot more water changes, a lot more everything. If you're not running a protein skimmer. Absolute must.
Absolute must. I think on small tanks, like nanos and cubes and stuff like that, it's debatable. Like a lot of times, small water changes regularly, can't you buy? But as you get bigger, a larger water volume, bigger fish, more fish, especially if you have tanks and stuff, them things poop a lot. Like, you gotta have that protein skimmer in there. So it's basically a waste remover.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, it's always beneficial on the smaller tanks, but like you said, you can go one way or the other because it's quite a bit easier to do a water change on like a cube 10 or 20 than it is on like say a 320.7 or something like that.
Absolutely.
So you could go without it, but there are skimmers for them too that you can buy that
Yeah,
fit
and a
those
lot of
small
people
things.
do still use them. It's just they're not as mandatory as with a larger system.
Yeah.
You know, all of our smaller tanks here, we don't run with protein skimmers because I just routine water changes on those. But So that's what a skimmer does. We also have to size them appropriately for your system. And you're going out there, you're looking for protein skimmers. There's tons of sizes, model numbers. What do they mean? First thing to kind of consider is what your sump space is. Because if you can't fit it in your sump, it doesn't matter what it's rated for. Like all of our sumps, there's a designated chamber. That's for your skimmers, reactors, and stuff like that. So starting there is your footprint, basically, of the skimmer that you can fit.
Yep.
From there is you're looking at your bioload. So bioload is like amount of fish and waste you have in there. You'll see TV.
Lost the TV.
Went to go sleep. Where is that one at?
I got it. I got your back.
So you'll see a lot of protein skimmers are rated by bioload, and usually high, medium, or low. Yeah, that's 3. There we go. And all right, we're good.
We're back.
Correct. So honestly, pretty much no one has a low bioload. Don't even consider that rating. It's going to put like your skimmer into some really high volume amount that is really not going to do, because I don't know anyone that
I
actually
always look at the highest.
low bioload. Yeah, that's like not a thing.
Yeah.
Usually I say, if you're going to have a big tank and a lot of tanks, go with that high bioload.
Yeah.
Average is kind of somewhere between the medium and high bioload rating. And that's for your full water volume. So not just like your display size, it's just full water volume. Rated on that, medium to high bioload, because it changes a lot. You could have a skimmer that's at low bioload rated for 300 gallons, but high bioload 75. So there's a huge difference. And if you get a skimmer that's too small, and it's not going to keep your nutrients down. So it's going to pull stuff out, but it's just not going to do enough to kind of keep up with, your nitrates and stuff like that and help you as much as it should. You're going to end up upgrading. So, definitely you have to rate it appropriately for your actual bioload.
Yeah, I do want to mention one thing too, just back on your topic about the sump space and our tanks. So many of our tanks, like the Reef LX and the Infinia, have refugiums in them.
Yeah.
So when you're looking into those, decide whether or not you want to have a refugium, and if you do, take a look at our tech spec table and look at the size with the refugium. On the Infinia, for example, there's 2 different spots you can put the refugium plate in.
Right.
So you're going to want to make sure you check those specs, not the full space, and make sure because the skimmer models, especially even looking at NIOS, can change depending on whether you have a refugium or not on some of the models.
And you'll see, like, kind of you're going to make a smaller refugium, a bigger area, and it's going to affect what your skimmer chamber is. And then also considering, like, if you want to have a media reactor or other equipment in that chamber, take in consideration those size as well. But if you have to make a choice, so you don't say this is a skimmer you need, it's got a bigger footprint, it's not going to leave you room for as much equipment in that chamber, go with the bigger, a bigger skimmer versus smaller skimmer, media reactor, that kind of stuff. But you can go too big for a skimmer as well.
Right.
So you're like, oh, I'm just going to buy the biggest one that'll physically fit. It's rated for 300 gallons, but I have 120. It's going to be great. It doesn't work that way. If you get too big of a skimmer, there's not enough waste for it to create the proper foaming and bubble waste mixture to bring anything up and out of the cup. So you're going to spend all this money. Why should you not get the largest possible skimmer? There you go. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's just not enough waste. So if you don't match it at least somewhat accordingly, then it's not going to pull out enough. It's not going to be able to create a dense enough foam tower to even get into the cup, and it's going to be generally underperforming greatly.
Right. I can tell you from experience, because I've made every mistake in this hobby, I did that one time. Bought this huge skimmer, and it did nothing.
The foam can't make it all the way up, but there's not enough there. And then you just have this big hunk of acrylic sitting in your sump.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, now I have to go buy a smaller one. So sometimes bigger is better, and lighting, that kind of stuff. But in a skimmer world, you really need to rate it according to that bioload, what the manufacturer says. Is all very, very important factors when choosing your skimmer.
Yeah, and be mindful when you're looking at the manufacturer ratings too, because some of them go all over the place. They can say these huge tank volumes, which just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, use your best judgment. Go with a good brand. I like NIOS, and that's what we use on all of ours, because their rating is really good as far as what that actually is going to handle. And one of my favorite things about NIOS is the break-in period is so quick and kind of barely existent. with the Quantum skimmers. And we're actually going to go and turn on the skimmer onto the Infinia today. I'll kind of show you what happens when you first turn on your skimmer.
Are you firing this up for the first time?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So break-in period is when you first put on your skimmer. It is not going to probably dial in correctly. It's going to be kind of all over the place for a little bit. So this can last anywhere for a few days up to a week or two. Depends a lot on the type of skimmer. And like I was saying, Quantums, they... Huh?
I didn't kneel down so they can see you.
Oh, well, I'm about to go around the back. Well, I don't need to be down here. The Quantums break in really, really quickly. So usually in a day or two, they are dialed in pretty nicely. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fire up our skimmer on the Infinia. All right, it's starting up. So as you can see with this, protein skimmer is just taking the air, mixing into the water. A lot of times when you first turn on a skimmer, it's going to kind of just go crazy. You want your water valve all the way open, or at least most of the way open, air intake open. And when you first start it, it's going to kind of, you can see the water and everything's mixing, and you're going to see that starting to kind of come up high. This is normal. What I do is take out the cap that holds the collection cup drain line. That way, if it does go over, it just kind of spills back into the sump. It can take a day or two whenever you'll notice that this kind of stops overflowing into the cup. At that point, put your drain cap back in, and you can actually start adjusting the skimmer to actually be pulling out and performing. You'll also notice, I don't even get close, is a lot of times for the first few days, you're gonna get a ton of bubbles in your sump. It's gonna go into your tank. It's not gonna look pretty, but it's just part of the break-in period, so don't worry about that. And it's all usually gonna settle. A lot of times, like I said, depends on your brand. The Nios is gonna kind of dial in pretty quickly. In the next day or two, we should actually have this running pretty efficiently. And you'll see now, it's coming out of the collection cup. If you didn't cap that, it's gonna start kind of overflowing the whole lid. Just go ahead and let it do its thing. And you'll see the Infinia is now a snow globe of bubbles. And that's just gonna happen. Let it be. Whenever it does dial in, your adjustments are gonna be done on your knob here. Going towards the open position is actually going to lower your water level. Going toward the closed position is going to raise it. Right now, we're all the way open, and this is just part of the break-in period. So, you know, just let it kind of do its thing. We're about done with our cycle in here, so turn it on. We're gonna start adding livestock and stuff soon to the Infinia.
Jess, is it common for a skimmer to have to be retuned from time to time after you clean it and so on and so forth?
Yes, I mean, you're gonna have to make adjustments here or there because your bioload's gonna change. You add more fish, your bioload's gonna change. You know, your feeding regimen, that kind of stuff. Shouldn't have to adjust it much.
Right.
But one of the main things also is consistency in your sump level. This is one of the things whenever you put a skimmer on a smaller tank that doesn't have a sump, you have to be really careful of, is those back chambers fluctuate a lot. So if you're gonna have a skimmer in like an all-in-one or a cube, an auto top off is a must because it's gonna keep it consistent. The water level in your sump or back filter chambers determines a lot of how your skimmer runs. So you don't wanna have it to where it's like dropping, you're throwing a lot of water in. You'll never get it dialed in really well that way on those kind of tanks. So, but you know, usually after you clean it, you just keep an eye on it for a day or two, see if you need to make any adjustments. But it's more like how your waste product changes. It's gonna determine how much you need to kind of adjust the actual skimmer itself.
If you guys haven't already, do us a favor, smash that like button. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell because we're here every week.
Yeah. So, I mean, when your skimmer's working though, like when it's dialed in, you go into that and you just want to establish tank, it's gross. If you ever watch any of our videos changing filter cups, the skimmer cups.
Not a nice smell.
It's not. So it's condensed waste from your fish.
Condensed ocean waste.
Condensed ocean waste. So whenever you are emptying your collection cup, just remember, don't spill it. Don't put it somewhere that other people are around. Ideally, you know, use the side sink outside, something like that, because it can really be pretty.
It's pretty bad.
Odoriferous.
Yeah, your significant other will not be happy if you go to dump that in the toilet and half of it hits the ground and half of it goes in the toilet. It's gonna,
Yeah.
the whole house.
Yeah, I know.
The whole house is gonna smell it.
Especially when I had the studio was at our main headquarters, and like I'd have to go change the skimmer, and we only had like 1 or 2 aquariums there, and it would be in like the back, kind of like back little area, but it's still in the building, and I would do it. If you're not used to fish tank smells, this will get you, and yeah, I had to start doing it outside.
It's really bad.
Didn't go well for the other staffing in there. So, you know, just keep an eye on that. And, you know, once you see how, like some people may say, I've never run a skimmer on my tank, you know, whatever. Once you see what it pulls out and kind of the gunkiness and all that, you'll see what it's actually doing for your water quality. It's a big, big deal. So.
Cool. So if you guys, again, post your questions below. I see a lot of them coming in here.
And we are giving away a $100 gift card, which means you got to be dropping questions and comments and all that to qualify.
That is the currency.
Currency, yes.
I just set up my MarineX 110.4, got the Nios 160. I've had it running for 4 days now, and I'm still getting a ton of micro bubbles. How do I fix this?
Just let it do its thing. So it's just part of the breaking period, and there's no set. It's going to take 24 hours. It's going to take 1 week. It does just kind of vary, and you know, just make sure that the water adjustment knob is all the way open, and if you know the water level drops, start to close it and just start to dial it in to the right height. What you eventually want is the water bubble mixture basically goes up to the bottom of the neck. The neck is full of foam, and only denser kind of dirt foam is actually coming into the cup itself. So that's your ideal, you know, dialed in. So just keep working with it. Also check, you know, make sure that the water level you're running in is correct. If your water level is too high in your sump, you do want to make sure that you lower it or raise the skimmer up. The Waterbox sumps were set at about 8.5 inches for that baffle, which is about the perfect water level for the Nios and most different types of brands. But if you have it higher up than that middle chamber baffle, you're going to be going above that, which will definitely put extra.
Yeah, you'll never.
It doesn't adjust as well, so you definitely want to stick with that right around that 8.5 inches water level.
Jared's asking, what model protein skimmer is the best fitting and size for a Waterbox Peninsula Mini 25?
I don't know. I know a lot of people use the Tunsies, I think. But we, like I said, I don't personally use them on any of ours here. And you know, in the past, like a Cube 20, I think the Tunsie works really well. Just check the footprint, and it goes into that, you know, middle chamber. Just check your footprint and what's going to fit, but look into that one. I think that's probably the most recommended.
Good resource, Jared, also, is if you head over to our Facebook group, there's a ton of people using skimmers on all-in-one, so go check that out. I know, like she said, the Tunsie Dock Nano skimmers or something like that.
Tends to come up a lot, I think.
We don't work with any of those guys, so I'm not really sure, to be honest, but
yeah,
Facebook group is your best bet.
Yeah, the Waterbox official group will give you pretty much all the different options of what fits and people do and what they like and all that.
Ryan Craig's asking, what happens if your skimmer cup fills and you aren't there to empty it? Does it end up back in the sump, or does it turn off automatically when it's full?
So yeah, okay. You would have it all go back into your tank, which is not fun. You're gonna smell it when you walk in your house. You're gonna know. Is it necessarily detrimental to the system? Not necessarily, because it's waste that got removed going back in. You're going to probably have an increase in nitrates and stuff like that. I would suggest carbon and a water change if that does happen. Skimmers themselves will not shut off if the cup gets full. You would have to kind of get a different additional piece of equipment to like sense the cup level and all of that. But you know, in general, once your skimmer is like dialed in and running, it's very uncommon for it to just go off for no good reason.
Yeah.
Usually if you put in like fish food or like coral amino acids, that kind of stuff, anything that have oils, you're going to see that your skimmer stops working.
Right.
Kind of just crashes down, nothing's collecting into the neck, and then it resolves itself usually within a few hours. If you use certain medications, those actually tend to make your skimmer go absolutely nuts, overflowing into the skimmer cup. So you always look at like recommendations. If you're using a medication, if it says turn off your skimmer or whatever, it's for a good reason. But as a day-to-day, your skimmer should not just decide one day, to up and overflow if you're using a good brand. Now there's a lot of ones out there that like constantly change they're not consistent, they're hard to break in and stuff like that.
Yeah, the protein skimmer is one of those pieces of equipment that I usually say put as much of your budget as you can into it, because you really want something that's going to have high quality, the manufacturer's going to back it, it's going to have a good warranty, it's going to have a lot of users already on it, and that's going to be your best bet for a protein skimmer. There are many ways that you can go really cheap with a skimmer, but I guarantee you're going to end up buying another one.
There's a lot of factors that go into it, because like it's not just a pump and an acrylic body.
Right.
The pump, the rating of it, the speed, how the needle wheel impeller is designed, how well it chops it up, bubble plates and diffusers inside of them, and then also the angle and the shape of the body itself. So a lot of factors do go into it where it's not like, oh, this one's just more expensive because of the name. The actual design and products that go into it do matter a lot for consistency.
Yeah. Brian's asking, everyone always talks about keeping the tank clean, but how about keeping the sump clean? How often do you tackle that?
Not as much as I should, but.
It's probably the case for everybody.
Yeah, it is. I would say honestly, like every 3 to 6 months, if you can go down there and your water change, use a shop vac, clean it all up. Once a month, go in there and just kind of wipe everything down is probably efficient enough. And I think that's another thing that people don't think about that's in the sump is actually cleaning your pumps and their impellers and all that stuff, because there becomes a gunky layer on them faster than you would think, and it's going to slow down the performance. It's going to put more wear on the motors. Pumps can run even hotter, which can be an issue if you trying to keep temperature within a range. So, I think cleaning pumps is one of those things that's overlooked as well.
Yeah, even your skimmer pump as well.
Yeah.
Sean's asking, my daughter and I have a Peninsula 25, a few fish, and getting ready to add our first corals. What would you recommend?
Ooh, soft corals. Rich's favorite.
My favorite.
Star polyps,
Green
zoos,
star
leathers, mushrooms, xenia, all that kind of good stuff. Soft corals are going to be easy. They're going to be forgiving. They're going to grow well. And, they're very forgiving for water quality dosing and that kind of stuff. So always start with soft corals and then kind of graduate your way up to things that have more of a stony base to them.
Yeah, see some success with soft corals and then move on from there. Fish Pony, drop kick it, do it now. I'm assuming he's talking about the like button. You can throw an elbow into it. Don't break your phone.
We're not responsible for broken phones, laptops, or other things. So
just got a visual of someone drop kicking their phone across the room. Simple Reaver's asking, do you think DC pump skimmers are better than the AC version? Does it allow more flexibility?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have a DC pump, return pump, skimmer, whichever way you want to look at it, it's always going to give you more functionality because you can decide. And with a skimmer, playing with the output of the pump can have some effect on performance. How great it is, I don't know. You'd have to do probably like a side-by-side, like real comparison to say. But it does help too, where if you need to fine-tune a mixture and your thing and beyond what the basic controls can already do on the skimmer. A DC will always be. Is it worth the extra cost? It's going to be up to you and how much you want to fine-tune your skimmer performance.
Yeah, it's kind of, for me, is it necessary? No. But is it a nice feature to have? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially in regards to the electrical current in your tanks. 12 volts versus 24 volts.
Yeah.
That's much better if there is an issue. But again, is it economical for everybody? Probably not, because they are quite a bit more expensive than a standard pump.
Yeah.
3 times typically. So
it's a big difference when you look at it. So, as a standard practice, most people are good with an AC. The DC is just going to give you more flexibility and kind of fine-tune your skimmer performance a little bit more.
Yep. Tom's asking, if you can only have one, would you say a skimmer or a refuge is better?
Skimmer.
100%.
Skimmer.
Unanimous.
Both are great if you can do it. A skimmer is going to be consistently 24 hours a day pulling out waste product at a larger quantity, I think, than you could get from macroalgae growing. You would need, I think, such a large size for refugium to match what a protein skimmer could do.
A second tank the same size?
Yeah, it's not as functional to rely just on a refugium. Now, like in the LX here, and in the Affinia, we probably will as well. The LX, we've got refugium and protein skimmer. And both are doing great, but if in a heartbeat, I would take refugium out and leave the protein skimmer.
Yeah. She's asking 2 skimmers versus 1 skimmer, or 1 big skimmer.
2 skimmers is not a thing. They will compete.
Unless you're like a public aquarium.
Yeah,
maybe?
yeah. I guess if you're such a large volume, 2 competing skimmers in there does not equal 1 bigger skimmer.
Wouldn't it be possible also to run into an issue with water volume in your sump if you have 2? If you're pulling that much water into a skimmer, could you run into an issue where you need more water than the sump would typically need?
I don't know. I think it's more that the water, like the water that's coming through the sump, and this is why you've got to have kind of a general range of turnover in your sump, is water coming through matching kind of a percentage of what the skimmer is bringing through its body to remove waste at that turnover rate. If you have 2, and they're 2 smaller ones, they're still going to be only able to remove a certain amount, but then they're going to be competing for water that's coming through the sump and possibly recycling. I'm sure there's a lot more science that goes into it.
Yeah.
Get one good size one versus 2 smaller.
If you really want 2 skimmers, you can buy them and then you keep the other one in the garage.
As a backup.
Southern Valkyries, do you recommend putting a skimmer on the tank from the very beginning or waiting until you have livestock?
You can do it either way because there isn't much for the skimmer to bring out. So it's not going to skim much during your very beginning. During your cycle, if you're doing the fishless cycle like you should, then there is some waste products you're putting in there, but it's going to be pretty minimal. Like the Infinia has been cycling for about like 2 weeks, roughly. Turned the skimmer on today. I could have turned it on last week, but I wanted to do it for today's show. But there's not really much for it. I put the fish food in every day. It's been doing good. There's barely anything that's going to skim until we actually start putting stuff in there. The only benefit, I think, is if you do it when you first set it up, it's going to help remove a lot of sand particles because it does catch debris and stuff as well. So it might help with just removing some of the sand particulate and stuff that comes whenever you first set up the tank.
Nice. Ethan's asking, what model protein skimmer would be great for a 105.4 frag tank other than Nios?
And there's a ton of other, yeah. Gonna have to go with Nios. Like I say, you can go to the Waterbox official user group on Facebook and get plenty of recommendations. Nios is what I've used for the last couple years. I'm extremely happy with it as far as performance, quiet, the skimming function of it. It pulls a lot of gunk. And
they're really well designed too.
Yeah, the break-in period, like I said, usually within a couple days. And you're gonna find a lot of other brands, people are like dealing 2-3 weeks later, still trying to get their skimmer to kind of dial in and be consistent. And I've never had that problem with the Nios. So other recommendations, I'd say check out our group and see what the unanimous opinion of others are.
Yeah, from a budget perspective, there's no doubt that Nios is a little bit on the higher end of things. But like I said, when you're looking at buying a skimmer, try to allocate as much a budget as you can to it.
Right.
You're gonna appreciate that in the long run.
It's a workhorse in your system, so don't see up on it necessarily.
Paul's asking, should I buy my tank directly from you or use an authorized dealer? Do dealers price them higher? So absolutely, I definitely advocate supporting your local fish store for sure. The price should be exactly the same as you see it on our website.
Yeah.
It really just depends on what's better for you. Do you want it just delivered to your house through us, or do you, if you go into a local fish store, a lot of times they'll actually go in and set it up for you.
Right.
Which is a
see
big
it in person.
benefit.
They can receive a shipment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, it's just what works best for you, Paul. There shouldn't really be any difference in regards to how
as long as
the
you're getting a
tank is sold.
water box, just get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get you a water box, Paul. Come on. What you waiting for? Ethan says, Rich and Jess, what is your favorite water box tank?
Oh man.
Dang, that's a good one.
That is a tough one. Huh. Currently, it's going to be the LX. I got to give it the LX just because it's big. It's a 7-foot tank. I love it. Size-wise and stuff like that, I just like that.
Yeah, I think, because that's a multifaceted question, because it could be
There's
like
so many. Can I pick like my favorite small one, my favorite medium?
There's
and
fresh,
my favorite
there's salt, there's nano, there's larger.
Yeah.
On the larger side of things, I would say the Reef LX for sure, obviously the 7-foot. On the smaller end of the spectrum, Cube 20.
Yeah. I like the Peninsula Mini 25. I like the Peninsula. You can do some really cool tunnel scaping and stuff like that. And I gotta say, in a middle range, I guess middle to larger, I love the frags. because I'm short, and they're like the only tank around here. We got the 4 foot and the 6 foot. I can just walk up to it and do what I need to do without lugging the step ladder out and doing all that stuff. So from short girl perspective, I love the frags.
That's picking our favorite is tough. We have about 60 models.
Yep. Oh, Keenan would like to give his favorite.
Infinia, there you go.
It's different than all the others.
The Infinia. Okay, Keenan's picking Infinia.
Yes, I do love the Infinia.
Yep.
On the large tank side of things, I love the dimensions specifically because as the aquascaping gets better, tanks get wider as they get larger, so
Yeah.
it's really great for aquascaping.
That's true.
You
All
can't
of
pick
them?
a favorite.
All of them? I would like to know what people in here, what is your favorite
Yeah, absolutely.
Waterbox model? If
Yeah.
it could be your dream version, it could be the one you have, whatever it is. You know, what is everyone's favorite? You know, I think a lot around for what I see kind of people being set up and stuff like that, the Reef 4 foot, the 130.4, extremely popular. It's a great
Yep.
footprint for 4 foot. I would consider that one to be probably a fan favorite as well.
Yeah, for sure. The 4
Yeah.
foot, 3 and 4 foot are definitely going to be the top of what most people go for.
Right. Now the dream tank, of course, probably everyone wants a 7 foot.
Yeah.
Space and other things might not always allow that.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to see what everyone's favorite is.
I know there's a lot of people that weren't in here to begin with. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button for us. It helps us out tremendously. We are giving away a $100 gift card.
Boom.
As us saying thanks to you guys for joining us.
Yes.
Um,
Do you have more questions or anything? Comments? Nothing?
Ready for the call?
Oh, you're ready to give away a gift card. All right. Keenan wants to get right to it. We're giving away a $100 gift card. And the winner is... Oh,
the
card.
winner is Card.
Card.
Winner is
Card.
Brian Sawinski on Facebook. Congratulations, Brian. Can't see it there, but Brian, email winners@waterboxaquariums.com. They will get you
Ooh,
hooked
there it
up.
is.
And if you don't already have one, get yourself a pooper scooper for your saltwater fish tank. It's absolutely necessary.
Scooper. I use that for my dogs. I wish there's something that could clean up
Poop
after.
frother.
Yeah, I wish there's something for dogs to clean up after, but no. Yeah, emails winners at. Congratulations. Remember, watching live, we're always giving something away. Got to engage in those comments, like, share, subscribe,
Yes,
all that
and
stuff.
most importantly, tune in next Wednesday as well, you guys, because we are here every week, and we love having you guys here. So
Now, next week, we're going to talk inverts and add some to
Yeah.
the Infinia. Now we're passing through our cycle phase, so Infinia's come into life, so don't miss that. See you then.
see ya. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Remember, you can visit us online at waterboxaquariums.com.
We're live every Wednesday. Thanks for watching. See you next week.